The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum in Boston holds an extraordinary collection of classic art, acquired by Mrs. Gardner in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. But the walls also display several empty frames that await the return of 13 priceless paintings stolen from the museum in 1990. Anthony Amore, the museum's head of security since 2005, is not only working to recover the paintings, but has written a book on art theft, Stealing Rembrandts.
I focused in on Rembrandt because the Gardner lost 3 of its 4 Rembrandts in the heist in 1990, and wanted to see what is the MO of a person who steals these sorts of masterpieces. Who does it? How do they do it? What becomes of the paintings? What becomes of the thieves? I found 2 things. One, the real-life art theft happens in no way, shape, or form like it does in Hollywood. And secondly, I learned that though these aren't Pierce Brosnan, Thomas Crown Affair type heists, they do share a similarity with like Coen brother films. So I found them really interesting stories and just accumulated them for my professional use. And ultimately said, literally in one day, said to myself, these would make a good book. And I wrote a proposal and sent it out, and now we have Stealing Rembrandts. Well, art thieves are quite different from what you see in films, but they're very similar to the types of people you read about in the police blotter every day. Guys who've stolen art, masterpieces indeed, you'll see have robbed pharmacies or done armored car robberies or attempted bank robberies, home invasions, car thieves, drug dealers, low-level criminals. They're not these great masterminds like people envision. If they were deep thinkers or crafty thieves, they wouldn't steal art because they'd find that when you steal a masterpiece, you can't do anything with it. There's no market for a painting worth $100 million. There's no one out there who's going to buy it. So they're not very, very bright, and they all share a lack of foresight. So they are your common criminals.
For example, a gang stole 4 paintings from the National Museum in Stockholm in 2000.
It sounded like something out of a James Bond film. They used a boat. They set off explosions on the only 2 roads into the museum on a peninsula, made off with the paintings, took off in a speedboat and going down the channels away from the museum. It sounds like Hollywood stuff, but the boat was easily traced because the thieves gave the person they bought it from their actual cell phone number when they made the purchase. So it wasn't hard work for the police to track down who these guys were. So almost every time you find that the heist is pulled off by somebody who makes just really stupid mistakes. Unfortunately, the one heist where you don't find the thieves making big mistakes after they've taken the paintings is the Gardner theft of 1990. And as a result, the paintings are still missing 22 years later.
In the 1990 Gardner heist, 2 thieves disguised as policemen handcuffed security guards and stole 13 masterworks valued at $500 million, making this the largest property crime in recorded history. The stolen works include pieces by Vermeer, Degas, Manet, and 3 works by Rembrandt.
Gardner's unique too because we can't replace, you can't change. So if a painting is stolen from the MFA, God forbid, they could put another painting there. If a Monet was stolen, which of course I hope would never happen, they could buy another Monet, theoretically, and put it in its place. At the Gardner, when something is moved, Mrs. Gardner's will says nothing can ever be changed. So when this museum is a collective piece of art that she created. So when you take something from it, you're affecting her art piece as well. So you can't replace it. So these pieces are the true definition of pricelessness because they literally can't be sold. If something is changed in the museum, if the will is broken, her will says that everything has to be auctioned off and the proceeds given to Harvard University. And ultimately, I hope that maybe there's an aspiring art thief out there who will read the book and say, this is a stupid endeavor. It's a fool's errand because these cannot be sold. No one has ever made money stealing a Rembrandt. It just doesn't happen, so hopefully they'll stop.